Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome or welcome back to Chef Vic Cuisine. Today we're making empanadas, perfectly seasoned beef with delicious combos of cheese and vegetables wrapped tightly in a homemade dough. These empanadas are one of my favorite lunch options. So let's get started. Alright, so to get this started, we're going to prepare our dough first. In a large bowl, we want to whisk together 3 cups of all-purpose flour with 1 teaspoon of kosher salt and 1 teaspoon of baking powder, mixing those until they're well combined. We also want to add half a cup's worth of unsalted butter that's been chilled into the bowl. And we're going to cut the butter into the flour mix using a pastry cutter or your hands until the butter becomes pea-sized. And once it reaches this stage, you want to add 3/4 cups worth of water, as well as 1 large egg to the bowl, and mix these together until a dough is formed. And you want to knead this dough with floured hands for about 5 minutes. And once the dough comes together and looks like this, you want to wrap the dough in plastic wrap and refrigerate this for at least 1 hour. While the dough is chilling, we want to prepare the filling for our empanadas. And that starts off by dicing up our vegetables. First, we're going to need 1 jalapeno pepper that I like to cut along the length of the pepper and then double back with my knife and slice that into tiny bite-sized pieces. Next up, we're going to need 1 small yellow onion with the peel removed, and we're also going to thinly dice that as well. We're also going to need half of a large tomato that we're going to chop up into fine pieces as well. I like adding some garlic flavor to my empanadas, and so for that, we're going to need 2 cloves of garlic. I'm going to mince them using a garlic press later on in the recipe. And for garnishment, we want to take a handful of fresh cilantro and chop that up as well. In a large sauce pot set over medium heat, or 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 176 degrees Celsius, we want to add in 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. We also want to add in our diced onions and saute those for about 5 minutes or until the onions become soft. And once it reaches this stage, we want to add in our minced garlic, like I said, using a garlic press, but you can feel free to finely dice that with a sharp knife as well. Sauteing the garlic for an additional 1 minute. And once our aromatics have been sauteed, we want to add in 1 pound's worth of 80% lean, 20% fat ground beef. Breaking the beef down into smaller pieces. We want to cook the ground beef until there's no more pink showing, stirring the pot intermittently. And once our beef has cooked to this stage, we want to drain off all that reduced fat. Once the beef has been drained, we want to return the pot to medium heat and, working quickly, add in 1 tablespoon's worth of ketchup, stir that into the mix, followed by 1 teaspoon's worth of dried oregano, 1 teaspoon of cumin, half a teaspoon of paprika, as well as a thin sprinkling of salt and black pepper to taste. Mix all these ingredients together in the pot until all the meat is coated with the seasoning. The seasonings is what really brings out the flavors in our empanadas. Using these spices and herbs adds a depth of complexity to your filling. And a little bit of cumin, oregano, and paprika can go a long way. And now you want to add in your diced jalapeno peppers, as well as the diced tomatoes to the pot, and cook these for another 3 minutes. And with that, your filling is ready to be used, and you want to remove it from the heat and allow it to slightly cool. Now on to making the empanadas themselves. We want to preheat our oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit or 204 degrees Celsius and line a large baking sheet with parchment paper. We want to remove our dough from the refrigerator and place it onto a lightly floured working surface. Here we want to slice our dough in half, working with 1/2 of dough at a time. With a lightly floured rolling pin, we want to roll out 1/2 of the dough until it's about 1/4 inch thick. And then here you can either use a ramekin or a 3.5-inch diameter cookie cutter to create thin dough discs. And once those first discs are cut, we want to roll out the excess dough to create more discs. You should be able to get 8 discs from 1/2 of dough. And then once you get those first 8 discs, you want to repeat these steps with the remaining other dough half to have a total of 16 discs, for this recipe making a total of 16 empanadas. Here we move on to the filling process. Working one at a time, we want to brush the outer edge of our dough disc with melted butter. And for this recipe, in total, you're going to need about 1/4 cup's worth of unsalted butter that's been melted. You're going to want to reserve some of that butter for a future step. Now you want to place 1 tablespoon's worth of our empanada filling into the center of the disc, and then top that with 1 tablespoon of shredded sharp cheddar cheese and 1 tablespoon of shredded pepper jack cheese. As tempting as it may be to stuff your empanadas to the brim, you want to resist this urge. Overfilling them can cause the empanadas to burst open during cooking, which is not only messy, but can also lead to unevenly cooking the dough. You now want to fold the dough in half over the filling, pressing the filling into the empanada before closing the edges together, and I like crimping them using a fork. A good seal is key to keeping your filling inside your empanadas. Using a fork to press the edges together firmly, make sure that there are no gaps or holes. And then you just want to repeat this same process with the remaining discs of dough. Here I'm making traditional empanadas, which are half moon shaped, but you can get creative with your shapes as well. Try making mini empanadas or folding them into triangles or squares for a fun, unique twist. So once all your empanadas have been formed, in a small bowl, we want to add 1 large egg and the remaining amount of melted butter and whisk those together until they're well combined to create our egg wash. We're then going to brush each of our empanadas with this egg wash. Brushing your empanadas with egg wash before baking will give them a beautiful golden brown color and a shiny finish. It also helps to keep the dough from drying out during the cooking process. We want to bake these for 25 minutes or until the empanadas have become that golden brown. Flipping the tray in the oven halfway through the baking process so that the back empanadas will now be in the front. After that time is up, we want to remove them from the oven and garnish them with some freshly chopped cilantro. Transfer them to a serving plate, and I like serving them alongside some sour cream as a dipping sauce. And just like that, you've made empanadas right at home. With these tips in this recipe, you'll be making amazing empanadas in no time. Remember to have fun and experiment with different fillings and shapes. Empanadas are delicious on their own, but serving them with a dipping sauce takes them to the next level. You can also try a spicy salsa, a tangy chimichurri, or a creamy avocado sauce. But when you do try this recipe at home, be sure to tag me at Chef Vic Cuisine or hashtag Chef Vic Cuisine so I can see your great takes on this dish. As always, this recipe and many more can be found in my cookbook, Chef Vic Cuisine Volume 3, Upgrading Your Inner Chef. And that's available on Amazon, and I'll be sure to leave a link to that in my description box. And feel free to click the pop-up on your screen for more information on that as well. Thank you all so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to smash that like button for me. It's one of the best ways to show support for this channel. And if you're new to the channel, my name is Victor, and welcome to Chef Vic Cuisine. I like to create new recipes each and every week that you can make at home for yourself, your family, or your friends. So if that sounds good to you, make sure you click that subscribe button too. And sharing is caring, so if you enjoyed this recipe and think someone else will too, feel free to share this with all your family and friends. And stay tuned for next week where I show you a really healthy, tasty option for breakfast, my pitaya bowl. Well, thank you all again for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this recipe. I appreciate all the support. You can always check out more recipes on my page now. YouTube thinks you'll like this video, so let's see if they're right. And I'll catch you next time on another episode of Chef Vic Cuisine. And until then, peace.